Welcome back to Face to Face. I am so excited. We're here for season 2, episode 1. We're spilling all the tea today.
Piping hot.
Piping hot. We're talking some back to beauty school tea. My name is Jessica Malleck. I'm a master esthetician of 6+ years. I have my own practice in Duval, Aesthetics with Jessica, and I'm newly a master esthetician at Refine MD Northwest in Kirkland. And I'm joined by my very special guest, Katie.
My name is Katie Croson. I have been a licensed esthetician for, I think, 3 years, almost 3 years. And I have owned my own studio for just over a year called Groove Aesthetics, so.
Yay. And we have kind of a funny backstory. I was teaching phase 3 master aesthetics when I met Miss Katie, and
Baby SD
Katie.
In the womb still. Hadn't been birthed into the aesthetics world yet.
Pre-state board.
State board.
What a trauma.
Yeah, you were my last esto teacher.
Maybe the best. We'll leave it there.
Save the best for last.
I feel like anybody who's been through beauty school and has passed their state boards is an immediate trauma bond of like, oh, yeah. You've also made it through.
Yeah.
I remember when I was taking my written for my teacher exam, there was one gal who came in at the last second. So you're in these cubicles to take your written exam, for those who don't know. And you could have tons of different people taking different tests. So like you could have a barber, you could have an educator, you could have a cosmetologist, whatever. Right. This gal comes in at the last second in her sweatpants, like fresh rolled out of bed, like panting, just like in such a like
so stressed,
and she sits down and I'm just like, oh my god, is she okay? The entire test, every single question, she's like and I'm like, I bet she's a master esthetician. Because that test is such like it's a gamble.
Yeah, and you never know like what like batch of questions you're gonna get. It could be very ingredient based, it could be like protocol sanitation based, like you just kind of roll the dice when you start the exam.
I remember mine being so heavy laser, and I was not a laser girly in school. So it was like, how many nanometers, and what's the wavelength, and what does the ruby diode do? And I'm just like, we didn't even have that. Like, what are you talking about?
Excuse me?
I'm like, this is all from one specific chapter.
Yeah, no, mine was pretty ingredient based, I remember, which, like, being a baby esthetician, you don't know jack about ingredients. You're like, hyaluronic acid is moisturizing, I guess, and like that's kind of all you know when you graduate school, at least. But yeah, every test is different.
Yeah, 1,000 times, 10,000. What's the percentage of holds its weight in water?
1,000.
A, B, C, or D.
Yep. Yeah. No, it's. I'm glad that I don't have to ever retake state board again.
Yeah. Well, and that's the crazy thing, too. At least in Washington, we have one of the highest requirements hour-wise. So if you ever wanted to move, you shouldn't have an issue where you have to retake it.
Or do extra hours or anything.
Yeah. But some states, like if they were to come here from Florida, for example, they have like, I think it's 300 hours or 400 hours.
Insane.
It is insane.
That's like a 3-month-long program. Which is crazy.
So it's like they would have to come here and take more hours and then retake the test again. Imagine you've been licensed 10 years at that point, and you're like...
Probably no more than the girls like just getting out of a 1,200-hour program, and you just have to redo everything.
Yeah.
No thanks. No thanks. And we're fortunate in Washington, too, that our scope of practice is larger than most of the country. So the 1,200-hour program is warranted, but...
Well, and we both got in kind of on the cusp because most programs don't have the 1,200 anymore. You have to do your 750 and then, is it 350 additional?
450.
450 additional.
Additional, or you have to go to the Laser Institute, or you have to do some weird, like, accreditation thing. I don't know. I'm glad that I just got it all done in, like, one go.
Me too. Well, now that we're here, we have so many topics we can cover. I feel like everybody going into beauty school I don't want to burst their bubble because they're so excited. They're maybe a little nervous.
Like new career change.
Yeah, career change. I'm going to meet so many friends. It's going to be so fun. We're just going to do facials all day.
Yep.
And I feel like that was not the reality of
not.
our program.
No.
Either time.
Nope.
Because I went back to school to be an educator simply based on the fact that my program felt really lacking.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was done with school, I felt like I didn't know how to, well, I don't want to say I didn't know how to do anything. It felt like I had to seek out the information on my own.
Right.
And wasn't really taught the full scope of what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're launched out there, you're like, cool, I have very minimal skills.
Right.
And you have teachers that say, you know, you just need to know where to find the information.
Right.
But they don't always give you where to find that information either. So it's kind of a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a change, and I've learned each school is going to be kind of a hot mess. And there's not a whole lot you can do as one single person when the, like, general consensus is kind of set in stone. So
yeah, I mean, any esthetician you talk to, they're gonna be like, yeah, I left beauty school feeling like I didn't learn anything, or like I'm not prepared.
Unprepared.
Yeah, I feel like you learn so much in the field versus like what the curriculum covers.
And I think something important to note is the goal of going to beauty school is really to prepare you to get your license.
It's to get you to pass state board.
That's it. Like, if you learn some other stuff that
cool.
gives you some cool skills, awesome.
Yeah.
But also, if I were to do it again, I don't know if I would recommend doing all of your certs and stuff while you're in school. I feel like there's so much information that you're trying to absorb in such a short amount of time.
Yeah, that's fair.
I feel like that can be a little overwhelming. Like, you do want to be on top of things and, like, be prepared, but, and things might be different now, too.
Yeah.
Like, when I was first out of beauty school, a lot of my additional continuing ed was in my first real spa job.
Yeah.
And that's where I got certified with PCA and learned how to dermaplane and microneedle and lash lift and all of that. And I didn't have to pay for it because it was at my job.
Right.
But not everywhere does that off the bat either. Like,
right. They want to know that you're going to stick at the job before they
invest in you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like it's okay to take some continuing education while you're in school, just maybe like not a ton. Like if you know lashes are going to be your jam, I think it's okay to take like an extra lash course or two.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would like jump straight into like taking like the PCA certification and like the Glymed, like their Fordic, like I think it's really easy to get overwhelmed with.
There's just so many options.
Yeah, and it's hard to know. So unless you like really, really know, like you went into beauty school to become a lash tech,
right?
You know that's gonna be your jam post school, and you know you're gonna like get hired at a lash place, then like by all means take your lash courses. But like, or like waxing, like that's like, meh, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like,
I feel like in school they don't have the educators or the product to set you up for success with waxing, to be 100% honest. Like, the overhead for waxing is kind of high. Shockingly high for what it is.
Right.
Like, for the service cost.
Right.
It's a little ridiculous for a good product.
Yeah.
And anywhere that's doing quality waxing is going to be priced a little bit higher. And the beauty school is not doing that. They can't really meet that overhead. So you're working with cheaper product, cheaper tools.
Yeah. Crappy satin
smooth. Gigi.
Oh, not the Gigi.
Not
wax.
the Gigi.
Oh. Not the Gigi wax on the Chi-Chi.
No.
No, thank you.
Well, and also I will say a lot of the times your educators are no longer working in the field.
Right.
And that's something really important to note. Like, was your educator doing waxing or doing facials? Like, did they have a specialty in the field? And when did they exit the field? Like, when was the last time they were doing these services?
Right.
Because as a student, you're technically working under our license, but if we haven't done this in years, like, how are we supposed to support, critique, or assist you if things get sketchy? Like,
messy, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, here's a question I guess I've never asked you.
Okay.
Do you have to be, like, how do I word this? Was not an English major, clearly. Did you have to, like, be licensed and working in the field to then go back to be an educator? Or could you literally just be a licensed esthetician?
You could literally just be a licensed
and then
esthetician.
just go back and get your educating license.
And I know several people who went straight from aesthetics to their educator program. They never worked in the field.
So they could have never worked in a clinic
Correct.
before and, like, be teaching
Correct.
users. That's
Correct.
insane, actually.
Yes.
That's actually insane.
And I know a lot of people take that route because they're scared of jumping into the industry.
Yeah.
Like, they
and
feel...
also job security. I feel like everywhere is always hiring educators.
Because the turnover is so high.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, the turnover is high because almost any school, beauty school, the educators are vastly underpaid and severely overworked because the turnover is high. So oftentimes there aren't enough educators.
And you're covering for other classes.
Exactly.
You didn't expect to.
So what could be, I think the perfect number is like 8 to 10 students. It's the perfect number.
I think my class when I was done was
like
close
30,
to,
40, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
And it's like, how can you give your undivided attention to 30 people in a 4-hour time block? Impossible.
Mm-mm.
Impossible.
Mm-mm. No. I remember when I started, it was like right at the height of COVID. And so everybody was just like kind of freaked out about going to beauty school. And I remember the gal that like I interviewed with before I went to beauty school, was it Genevieve? She was like, oh yeah, your class is going to be no more than 7 to 14. It was close to like 25 or 30, I think. Because like how beauty school works is like you start with your first phase and then everybody's at a different pace. Like everybody that you're going to school with is at a different pace in the program. And
there's almost one half and a second half for your phase one.
Yeah. And so then your little phase one, it was already a small group, but then we joined into a group of 4 other girls who were also in phase 1. And then they jumped ahead to phase 2, and then 2 weeks later we met them in phase 2, but they had already entered a really big class, and now there's like 30 plus girls in a room. And then like some people would move on and get ahead, and then some people would have to stay. It was just madness.
It feels disorganized a little bit.
Super.
But from the back end, it's like, how can we have everything this organized and like, I guess, scheduled out, but it still feels so disorganized and like there's no way to keep up. And I think it's a big factor of just the class size. Like if the class size was smaller and we had more time too, because when I was in school, your phase 1 was 5 days a week and it was 8-hour days. So it was Monday through Friday. And then when you'd move up to phase 2 and phase 3, you bumped it down to a 3-day-a-week schedule and it was 10-hour days. And so, to me, that made sense because at least for your 10-hour days, you have, like, your hour or your 2 hours of theory, and then you're on the floor doing, like, your books are open, basically, for services.
Right.
Which makes sense. Like, 10 hours is plenty of time for, like, everybody to have their turn or trade service or whatever.
Totally.
But for 4 hours, 3 days a week, and, like, still a jumbo class size, insane.
Not enough time to learn or, like, do
anything.
I was a COVID esthetician student, so my schedule's a little different. I was 5 days a week, 4 hours a day. I was the afternoon class. I would start at 12 or 12:30, end at 4 or 4:30. I don't remember that window. But that's how my program was the entire way through. I never had, like, the super long 8-10-hour days. But in hindsight, that probably would have been more beneficial because you'd, like, get crap done, actually.
Yeah. But...
There's always a but.
Let's note that even with the longer days that I experienced, I was at the Renton location. You were in Everett. In Renton, we were very close to South Center Mall. And in phase 2, you have a little more freedom. Right. You're not getting, like, eagle eye the whole day.
Yeah, no one's hovering over
There
you.
would be several groups of girls who would just go to the mall for several hours and then come back. Still earning hours, mind you. And my educator, I loved her, but she would be like, I'm totally fine, but just make sure you hit Sephora and get me the samples of this, this, and this.
Not okay.
No.
Very much not okay.
These are the people entering the industry.
Yeah.
Scary.
Well, the Everett location's right by Everett Mall.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also we share a parking lot with Bigfoot Java and Applebee's.
Yep.
So.
Let's give a little Applebee's debrief.
Every Friday, the gals in my class who I was tight with, we would always meet up at Applebee's before class.
Before class.
In like phase 2 or 3, sometimes we'd have a little margarita. It was fine. Never would have an alcoholic drink if I knew I was like.
What's hilarious?
You're making me. I'm not an alcoholic.
What's hilarious is you're like, I would just have a margarita. There were some girls who would go and drink at Applebee's while clocked in.
Okay, that was the next thing I was gonna say. So there were some girls, I think they were in the regular esthetician program. Yeah. And
I had those as some of my students. I knew.
As my, like when we were on our like 20-minute coffee break or whatever in like phase 2 or 3, Christian and I would walk over to Bigfoot Java every day and I'd get my little dirty chai, chat with my barista girls. But then there would be girls from the other program just literally in the parking lot, like chowing down on some Applebee's takeout boxes.
We'd all be like on the cement hill, like in front of the school.
Like your teachers are watching you.
Teachers are watching, clients could be walking by and people are just like.
Yes. And sometimes they would just go into Applebee's and like drink. Yeah. Like midday.
Yeah.
Midday.
What's absolutely nuts about this is that more often than not, you guys are so not slick. You would go in your school branded uniform.
In the smock.
With the logo. And Applebee's would call us and say, like, hey, just so you know, you have students drinking alcohol over here on the clock. Just so you know.
No.
Nuts.
I would have one little fun drink a couple Fridays a month before class, but it wasn't ever like I wasn't ever like I need my fix before I learn how to wax margaritas.
Freaking Gigi wax is gonna kill me.
Don't drink before you wax. Or get waxed.
All you have is muslin. I need a shot.
You can go to hell. I'm going to Applebee's.
Yeah.
You can go wax. I'm going to Applebee's.
I think one of the other... This is just like a funny hot take, I feel like. is... I'm sorry. I'm going to put you all beauty school girls in your place for a second. You don't have that much experience yet to be thinking you're all that while you're in beauty school.
Everybody has an ego in beauty school.
I'm sorry, but like, just because you took a lash training doesn't mean you can say, I don't want to practice on a mannequin. I only want to practice on a paying client. You don't know what you're doing yet. I'm sorry, that's just not... Nobody wants you to touch their eyes if you've never practiced.
No.
On anything.
No.
Let alone pay you hundreds of dollars to do their lashes when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
That goes for any service, but like...
Yeah. And hot take, I feel like even after your license, like...
You still don't know what you're doing.
No. It's like, it's a constantly changing industry. You're always going to be learning something new. There's going to be new trends, new services, new techniques that you want to learn. So, like, staying humble, I think, is really important because there are some, like, big estheticians out there who, like, just because they've been licensed for 5+ years or they've worked at this med spa for so long, they think they know it all. And they just, like... don't care about continuing education. Yeah. And it's like, well, I've learned all there is to learn. I know it all. I can cure your acne. I can get rid of your wrinkles. Call it a day. But it's like...
Can you, though?
Or is that your Lightroom edits that you're posting? Your afters with?
I feel like initially, maybe my first 2 years in the field, I was such, like, an emotional girl. Like, I had such a complex of, like, people being in charge was really threatening to me. Or, like, I just took things really hard when I feel like not all of it was really out to get you. It was just, like, delivering the information. But it all felt very, like, ouchy.
Yeah.
My first couple years, and I feel like it does take some time to build that thicker skin, because even with your first year or two of experience, you really think you know a lot. Like, you're like, cool, I've done some continuing education, I've been taking clients consistently now, like, I have some job experience.
Right.
Maybe you're, like, in your little groove of, like, how you like to do things. Yeah. And it literally takes one person to be like, hey, actually, you're holding your dermaplane handle all the way wrong, and you should really be doing it this way. And you're just like, or what do you mean?
One client who has, like, an adverse reaction you didn't anticipate, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've learned nothing. I'm so stupid. Yeah.
I feel like it takes a while to kind of navigate and
manage
get
your
over
own
that.
expectations and manage your clients' expectations. And you'll be fine.
You know, this is another thing I think we should cover, because I think everyone in beauty school, once you've gone to school, you're going to know what we're talking about, but things do run out. And this is not just a beauty school thing. I think you kind of get in your head of, I've paid this amount to be here, and it feels expensive. And newsflash, you're going to keep paying for your education even after you're out of school. Yeah. All of these continuing education courses are very expensive and time-consuming, and one day you're going to love to dish out the money for it, and we love spending money on training now, but things run out in the real world too. So if your school is running out of 4x4s or wax sticks or particular back bar products, sometimes it's a budgeting issue of, like, this is what we budgeted for, and this was the allotment we got, and we don't get another budget roll in till next month or something like that. Or they might just be out of stock, the brand. Like, the brand might be out of stock. Yeah. This happens in the real world to us. All the time. Whether you're working at a spa, whether you're working for yourself, we run out of stuff. Yep. And there's nothing you can really do about that. You might not have anticipated this many lash lifts, and we're, like, running out of packets. And we're like, do you have a packet? Yes. And it's a thing. Or
that was literally me last week. I was panicking because I had a brow lamb, and I was like,
I forgot to reorder.
Yes.
Or it's not getting here in time.
I just buy so much at a time, because, like, I'm more facial based. I don't do lashes, like, constantly. And so I just got this booking, and I was like, Jess, I was like, do you have any extra?
Seriously, I've had it with dermaplane blades too, where I'm like, crap, I didn't realize I'm on my last blade, and I have 2 more people today. Like, what am I gonna do? Yep. And it happens. Don't reuse. Don't reuse it, but maybe do a different treatment. I don't know, something. And it's hard when you work with just yourself. Like, if you have other people, you might be like, oh, hey, like, do you have an extra blah, blah, blah?
That's why it's nice to be connected with other solo people who live close to you.
Yeah. Like, please drive me a tube of tint.
Yes. That was the other thing I called you the other day. I had a brow client coming in, and I had these she's a redhead. I had these very specific colors I needed to use on her. And
she was coming in like 20 minutes or
like
something.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I had been looking for this tint for 10 minutes already. And I was panicking. I was sweating. She was probably in the lobby already on the other side of my wall. And I called Jess, and I was like, I don't know where my tint went. It's literally the only 2 colors I need, and they're gone.
I'm like, Katie, have you checked your garbage?
I'm on the brink of crying.
I'm like, you haven't taken your garbage out since you last used it, have you?
No.
Maybe check your garbage.
No, so I dug my hand all up in there, and sure enough, it was in the bottom, rolled up in my dental bib. Life hack. I think you taught me this.
Yeah, the dental bib, life-changing.
Yes.
Life-changing.
Just to keep everything sanitary and in order, just, like, have a dental bib ready to, like, put all of your disposables, your single-use stuff on, and just roll it up and throw it away.
They're super affordable, too.
Super, and so many fun colors. I get a new color every time. I currently have purple.
I love it. The sponges, too. I love the good, like, fluffy.
They feel like memory foam on the face. They're so delightful.
The best. They have a bunch of colors, too.
Yes.
Okay, so we've covered some, like, beauty school tea. Maybe let's talk about maybe like the interviewing job hunt process. Because I was working for Ulta when I was in beauty
I feel
school.
like you and I had very different post-school experiences.
I was promised an esthetician job when I was working at Ulta. They're like, cool, when you graduate, you can work
for Ulta.
Don't do it. You can work in the skin bar. They didn't have an esthetician. I was working in Factoria. While I was in school, they ended up hiring somebody. So they're like, hey, we really like how much work you've done here. We still want to like have your back. We have an opening in Redmond. Would you want to go there?
Yeah.
My manager in Factoria, terrible. Meanest lady ever. She was like, just wait till you get to Redmond. If you think I'm bad, this gal's even worse. She told me that when I left. Crazy.
That's nice.
I get to Redmond. They have not had an esthetician in probably over a year.
It's Hot Mess Express.
So they have like used the skin bar area as storage. There's like displays, everything's dirty, things are expired. So my first couple of weeks was like wiping things down, getting things organized. Hot mess. Everything's broken, whatever. I end up meeting a rep that's working for Estee Lauder, who's also an esthetician. And she's like, wait, they don't have this? They don't have that? Girl, no, this is all wrong.
She's not up to board.
No, she goes, I work for InSpa in a different location, and I do the Estee Lauder stuff part-time. I know the Redmond location is hiring, and they were literally down the street. So my little new esthetician butt went and applied and said, hey, this person referred me, blah, blah, blah. The questions I asked this manager were so insane because of my experience at Ulta. They didn't even have 4x4s at Ulta. I was bringing my school 4x4s to my job at Ulta.
Which is insane. If you are an employee
and they didn't pause. They never even negotiated my pay till I was hired. They like brought me into the office and were like, this is what you're getting. Hope you're happy. You're not getting anything else.
No.
I'm like, excuse me?
No.
Crazy.
If you are an employee, you should not be having to bring in your own
product
stuff. No.
Especially to a corporation like Ulta. Like, are you joking?
That's massive and can afford that stuff.
Insanity.
Yeah.
So,
not okay.
I have my little interview at InSpa, and I'm like, so like, what's provided? Like, do you have 4x4s? Do you have, like, Barbicide? Do you have, like, waxing strips? Like, crazy things that they would obviously have. And they're like, yeah, we have all of that.
Like, are you okay?
I'm like, I'm not okay. I'm trauma bonded at Ulta. It's been crazy here.
Crying in their arms.
Yeah, and so I started working there, and I'm like, this is amazing. Things are so much better here. And it wasn't my forever job, but I was there on and off for almost 2 years.
Yeah. Nobody's first esthetician job is ever their forever place.
But I will say I had the best esthetician mentor at InSpa. Her name is Bianca. To this day, I love her so much. She was a little bit older than me. She'd been a nurse in the Army. She had a med spa in, like, Eastern Washington. She's, like, a plethora of knowledge. Badass lady. And so I would hit her up with all my questions, especially as a new esthetician. Like, this is my first year out.
Yeah.
I don't think I would be the esthetician I am today without her expertise and her even just being transparent and saying, oh, well, have you tried this? Oh, I think you'd be interested in this.
Yeah.
Like, somebody kind of guiding you. You need that. You so need that.
Yeah. Especially right out of school, it's just easy to just, like, kind of, like, in your little turtle shell because you're just, like, nervous about everything.
I'm a pro and I know what I'm doing, but nobody tell me anything else.
Exactly. Exactly. It definitely helps to have, like, somebody who's been in the industry for a minute to kind of lean on.
And also somebody who's, like, not going to get hurt feelings and not going to get walked over. They're just like, no, let me take you under my wing and tell you how to do.
You have to have thick skin in the aesthetics world. It's just in the beauty space in general. Like, cosmetology, esthetician, nail tech. It's not a
walk in the park, and we're not all braiding each other's hair and, like, laughing and eating snacks.
No.
Not all the time.
I mean, we microneedled each other the other day. That was pretty fun.
It was really fun. Okay, that was my little recap. Tell me about your first experience?
Oh, gosh.
Job hunting, first job out of beauty school.
So I graduated beauty school. Well, first of all, you didn't let me sign off on my practical right away. So I had to go back after I graduated.
Sorry, wanted you to pass.
Which I did on the first try, whatever.
You're welcome.
And then I took the summer to study for state boards. Took some vacations, maybe lost a little bit of knowledge. Oopsie. Still passed everything on the first go. And then I started job hunting. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna get a place to work because all of these places want like 5+ years experience and like,
especially post-COVID,
which is insane. Like, lower your expectations. Mm-hmm. Like, employers need to just, you know. So I actually found a job. I applied for a few, and, you know, on Indeed or whatever, and they're like, they reviewed your resume and they
like follow up or something.
So there's a lot of that. Don't get discouraged, because I feel like when there's a good listing, there's probably like at least 100 applicants for it. Mm-hmm. So it's not a you problem. But I eventually got an interview at a little acupuncture clinic. Mm-hmm. And
do tell.
I thought it was just going to be this, like, great experience. They were a small clinic, but busy. They were looking to transition into a med spa type
vibe
practice, where it would just be, like, a wellness place. So you could get acupuncture, massage, and, like, my supervisor was, my lead was a master esthetician. She'd been in the industry, I think, for 15+ years. She was great. And she was kind of, like, fronting the whole, like, med spa transition.
Right.
So they, like, really relied on her for what machines they're going to bring on, what backwear they were going to have, what training she wants to do, all these things. Which is great because they paid for her to do that.
Yeah.
And they interviewed me. I went in for an in-person interview. I remember just sitting in the lobby, like, so nervous and, like, sweating. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to get this? Because it was in, like, a nice area of Bellevue, too. So I was just like, I just feel so classy. And they ended up liking me. They brought me back for a practical interview, which I feel like that's a hot take. If they don't ask you to come in for a practical interview,
kind of crazy.
Kind of a red flag, which we'll get into with my second employer.
Yeah.
That interview process was totally different. They liked my practical. She was like, oh, you're doing some things better than people who've been in the industry for a while. And I was like, there goes my ego. I'm like sky high. I'm like, oh, I'm amazing.
I'm the shit.
I've been licensed for 3 months. I am just the best in the industry ever.
I'm gonna go so far.
Yeah. But here's the catch. They hired me as an esthetician and an admin person.
Okay.
So the idea was that I would work admin while I was training.
Did your business card say esthetician / front desk?
That's embarrassing.
Would you have died?
I would have not. Mm-mm. They didn't even give me a name tag. I had to use my name tag from Evergreen.
No!
Yes, they got everybody in the clinic these name tags, and they're like, oh, we'll order you one. Never got it. So I had my little silver KDC name tag from Evergreen. Traumatized. A little magnet.
I think I still have mine.
Yeah, I do too. We should just frame them together.
I keep them on my fridge. To be honest, any of my last jobs that had the name tags, I've kept all of them because
they're handy.
I'm like, what if I need to go back? I got it on.
No, not going back. No, but they hired me. So I worked admin.
Okay.
And I was under the impression that it would be like a half-half situation. I would half be at the front desk.
Yeah.
I would half be training. And as I would get signed off on things, we'd, like, work on building my clientele.
Right.
That was not the case.
So, like, almost 50-50 to 60-40, 70-30.
Yes, and then I'd slowly just be, it would just be me and my supervisor who were, like, running the aesthetics part of it. So I was super stoked to, like, help, like, kind of essentially start this med spa for them.
Yeah.
Don't work at a startup right out of school. And what I learned was that their management sucked. I was not I loved my supervisor, but I wasn't training with her as much as I wanted to. I would get stuck doing front desk stuff 95% of the time. I would stay late and do hands-on stuff with her that I wasn't getting paid for.
Off the clock training, red flag.
Yes. Yeah. Big red flag. If you are in clinic and you are working on your education or like doing work for them, like staying late doing stuff and you're not getting paid,
You should be clocked in.
Absolutely. So yeah, I only was there for 3 months. They are the reason I started therapy. Those people sucked so bad. Loved my supervisor. I still love her, but the owners of that place.
Kind of crazy that a wellness company.
Somebody who like an acupuncture place, a place people go to de-stress.
Yeah.
Was giving me panic attacks. He was the kind of boss that, like, he was an acupuncturist. He shows up on my TikTok For You page all the time now, and I immediately, like, convulse.
Triggered!
So insanely triggered. But the thing is, like, the owners didn't know anything about aesthetics.
Oh.
They were...
Okay.
It was an acupuncturist and his wife.
Yeah.
And there was another acupuncturist who worked there. Me and the admin girls were all besties by the time that I left. But he just don't work for somebody in the aesthetics world who hasn't been in the aesthetics world, is what I will say. Like, he was just, like, constant, even, like, at the admin desk, he was so stealthy and he was so quiet. I would just be, like, doing my thing, and he'd just be, like, over my shoulder, just, like,
jump scare.
Super jump scare. And I ended up leaving because they got on me for not knowing a question about insurance.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. So the wife comes in. I had gotten there early. Okay. I remember this day so vividly. I had gotten there early because there was some maintenance guy who needed to be let in, and I had the door code or whatever, and I just, like, needed to open the clinic and, like, get ready. I was the only person working admin that week because the other girl was out of town.
Okay.
And so I show up, I open early. The maintenance guy doesn't even come in. He just sits there on his truck. So that was just annoying to begin with.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was going to have to be, like, the only admin person there all week, not doing aesthetic stuff. I was just, like, not in a good mood. Had to get there early. Also not in a good mood. He told me morning of, by the way. He was like, oh, by the way, you need to come in. Just the disrespect. And then every morning we had to print a sheet that said... that had a list of all the clients, what they were coming in for, what their copay would be if they're using insurance.
Okay.
And something else. Like, there was just a bunch of columns.
Yeah.
I didn't know something about somebody who, like, had renewed their insurance that we hadn't called and verified it with insurance yet. Yeah. I think it was something like that. But keep in mind, I was hired part-time admin, part-time esthetician.
Yeah.
And they're getting on me for not knowing an insurance question. And she's like, oh, well, this person, like, their insurance expired, like, we need to call and verify their new one. And I was like, I had briefly gone over that with we had, like, some person on staff who was, like, the insurance verifier person.
Okay.
They fired him. And then they expected me and the other admin girl to, like, pick up the slack with it. And I'm like, that's not what I was hired for, man.
No.
Like, just so many, like, unkept promises and big red flags going on. But I ended up, she was like, well, should we just, like, have you on commission and then you come in when you have clients? I had been there for 3 months and, like, barely trained on anything.
And it's like, how are you supposed to have that big of a client base in 3 months?
And I told her, I was like, I don't have a client base. And she was like,
that's a you problem.
Yes, and she wasn't, like, even in the industry. Like, she was just such a bitch. But I ended up losing my marbles. I started crying in the clinic.
Oh.
My supervisor had, I think it was her Skin Better rep was in that day, and she was in a meeting with her. And I just, like, kind of bobbed my head in, and I was like, Janet.
Oh, Katie.
And she came and, like, comforted me in one of the treatment rooms. And meanwhile, like, my bosses are just, like, stoic. They're, like, not understanding why I'm upset.
At this point, you're supposed also crying about insurance.
Kind of, yeah. I was just like...
You're cheering up as you see.
They just like weren't... They were just being super... They were like... I remember my boss saying... Not my supervisor, the owner. She was just like, well, are you even learning anything? And I was like, this was before I exploded. I very calmly was like, this isn't, I was like, I can't work here anymore. I was like, this is not for me anymore. Like.
You said it then and there.
Yep.
Wow.
And then I got super upset, and that's when I like kind of like called my supervisor into another room. Love you, Skin Better Rep. I don't remember who you were, but you were also very nice. And I remember my supervisor stepping in and they're like, you need to give her space. Like, you are not helping the situation. And I was still doing freelance makeup on the side at this point, too.
Okay.
Honestly, making more money doing that.
Right.
And I remember the bosses being like, well, bring in your business cards for your makeup business. We'll promote your makeup business. And I'm like,
shut up.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
At this point. And then I left. Went to the gym that night. I'm at the gym with my bestie. My supervisor calls me and they're like, they still think you're coming in tomorrow.
What?
I was like...
You've got to be kidding.
I was like, I told them. I verbally, very upsetly told them I'm not working there anymore.
Right.
And so that night and by the way, I quit, left them with no admin for the week because the other girl was gone.
Okay.
And me and the other girl had a pact that if one of us quit, the other would quit. And so, like, a couple days later, she sent in basically the same resignation letter. She copy and pasted mine, and I was like,
iconic.
Screw them. So they had no front desk people, and they had to pick up our slack that she got on me for not knowing everything about. And I'm like, taste of your own medicine.
Do you feel like that's still the most iconic way you've left a job?
I feel like,
because when I left Ulta to go to InSpa, I had 2 weeks pre-approved vacation off, and I put my notice, my 2 weeks in, the last day before my vacation was like, I'm just not coming back.
I feel like that was, like, storming out of a job. That's probably the most iconic thing I've ever done. I've quit all my jobs in March, for, like, any job I've ever had for some reason. It's just been, March has been, like,
the month.
My sayonara month. Gotta go.
I wonder if this has to do with, like, built-up seasonal depression, too. Like, everything else is already terrible. My job can't also be terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, no.
pass.
But back to your interviewing question. You can interview great. And, like, everybody, like, puts on their, even your employer who's, like, interviewing you, they're gonna put on their best show.
Oh, absolutely.
They're gonna make it seem like it's a great place to work at. It's a family environment.
That's a red flag, too.
Huge red flag. If any place ever is like,
we're like
we're a family here, we love and we care for... No, they don't.
No.
They treat you like crap. Yeah, so, like, you can, like, put on, like, your brave face and, like, they can, like, also make it seem like they're a great place to work. And then 3 months later, like, they're the reason that you started therapy.
Seriously.
Like, I would have a great deck of questions to ask the clinic at the end of your interviews. That's probably, like, my biggest. Because I kind of didn't have...
Right.
I was just excited to get an interview. I didn't even think about, like, oh, well, do you have any questions for us? And I was like, nope, sounds great. I'll take it.
Yeah. I would say with that, when you're interviewing, do your research on the company and who works there. Like... Regardless if they still work there or not, like, depending on how quick people update their website and stuff.
Right.
Almost every website where you're going has, like, an About Us, a Meet the Team. Like, do some research.
Look at their Google reviews. Look at their Yelp reviews.
Do the lowest to highest, too, on the reviews. Like, do a, like, deep dive. And see kind of what the competition is with who you're going to be working... who you're going to be working with, and also who you might see when you walk in, because you might walk in and go, oh, I remember seeing them on the website. They're actually the co-owner. Maybe they're not front desk. You don't know. Maybe they're at the front desk.
Right.
Something that I've heard too, I've never personally done this, but like going in for a service.
Get a treatment there first.
And just kind of see how they treat a new client before you go in for an interview could be
before you put your resume in. Like, so they really don't know who you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say definitely prepare some questions to ask are super important. And also regarding like what you want to get out of it. Like if your goal is to become a lead esthetician or to perform certain treatments, like maybe they have a device or a service that you haven't been trained in and don't have experience in, like ask those questions. Do you have like a trajectory plan?
Do they have a budget for your continuing education? Stuff like that.
Don't accept your first offer ever. Play that negotiation hardball.
I did at that acupuncture place because I was like fresh.
I think I did my first job too.
Yeah.
There wasn't much room to negotiate at Ulta. They didn't give me any choice, and then at InSpa, I don't remember them giving me much wiggle room. I was kind of like, oh, that's interesting. And I remember taking the offer to one of the cosmetologists I worked with at Ulta, like, hey, this is what they're offering. Does this sound normal? Does it sound low? And I remember her saying it sounded low for what it was, but also I'm like, what am I supposed to do starting out? Like,
when you have no experience, it's hard to know what you're worth.
And you don't have as much leverage either. Like, I think my biggest word of advice, if you're not happy with your offer, but you also don't have experience, is maybe negotiate for a 30, 60, 90-day follow-up of once you're through training, like, hey, I'm comfortable with this offer through training, but depending on how I'm doing, how many clients I'm bringing in, can we renegotiate at this point in time to get me closer to this number? And they might spring for it, just depending on how you're doing.
Another thing to think about is, are you getting commission-based, or are you hourly-based, or are you combo? Or are you...
Well, and sometimes it's a split, because at Pro Club, for example, you're commission only, but you also have to work the hours you're scheduled. So if you have no clients, you're technically not making anything, but you're still required to be there.
Which is a little bit crazy.
Makes no sense to me. You should have an hourly, like, fallback in that case. But at InSpa, it was whichever was higher. So you're either making your hourly or you're making your commission. And then you have a retail commission additional. But then there's other places, med spa wise, which is new to me, where you have your hourly and then you have an additional commission, which is lower because the services are higher. But some places guarantee you that commission, and other places, like where I'm at, you have to meet a certain threshold to earn that commission. And it's like you can tier up depending on how that grows.
I would say if you're fresh out of esthetician school, try your best to not start commission-based.
Get that hourly.
Absolutely.
That is, like, crucial. And one thing I did when I was at InSpa as a green esthetician, when I renegotiated for, like, my raise, was I asked them what my hourly average was that I was generating with my commission, and I asked for it to be that number. So I'm like, okay, if I'm generating, this is, several years ago now, but like if I'm generating $18 or $20 an hour instead of $15 an hour, let's bump the hourly to that. So then at least, if I'm not making my commission when it's slow, I'm still getting the same like reoccurring paycheck, and it's not like, shoot, I have no money because it's slow.
I think at that acupuncture job, I think I made $19 an hour because I was also admin. But I found out that I was lowballed because I asked the other admin girl who I got tight with, and she was making quite a bit more than me.
And she was just doing admin.
Yes, and she was just doing admin. And then I think I made like 5 or 10% really low commission on product sales. But yeah.
I think something to consider too is what you would make as a solo esthetician is totally different than what we make working for somebody else. And you kind of have to weigh what you're getting out of that other job. Like, are you getting training or access to different things and you're willing to take a lower rate because it outweighs it, or?
Yeah, I think a lot of estheticians go into esthetician school, like, thinking they're going to go solo right out the gate because they see all these, like
it looks like
Instagram
shiny.
Yeah, it looks like, so you're like, you work for yourself, you set your hours, you get all the money. But I don't think what they take into account is the growing pain of growing your clientele. Whereas working for someone else, sometimes you get grandfathered into a clientele, so you don't have to work as hard for it. And overhead. Like, I don't think when I opened, I mean, I kind of knew what overhead was going to be like when I opened my space last year. But, like, it's still sticker shock sometimes. I'm like, oh,
forgot I had to pay
that. Or, like, I'm going to pay myself a little bit less this month so that I can afford this, like, other thing I want to bring on. Or, like, it's...
Well, and it feels different, too, when it's all about you and your business of, like, okay, well, I want to bring this on and I want to be able to provide this.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit like I'm spending my money, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But it's all technically divvied up. Like, there's no, like, manual of you need to have these people on your team when you're working for yourself. You need to be able to have these different accounts for your taxes and your overhead and your own profit. Like, they don't explain that. Even I feel like I didn't even know that till very recently.
No, there was a good resource that I found, who I connected you with your bookkeeper.
Yes.
I will have to remember her name. I'll have to look her up.
Send it to me and I'll put it in the description.
Yeah, but she's all about, you can, like, buy this spreadsheet that she has where you can, like, put in your overhead, all of your costs, and you can, like, see your profit and loss statements. And she basically kind of teaches you how to profit. And she has these, like, little online videos and stuff. It, like, wasn't that expensive to, like, get the spreadsheet and like, access to her videos. But she is a good resource, and her cousin is your bookkeeper.
And I love my bookkeeper. She gives me such peace of mind, and everything is, like, set up and taken care of now.
Yeah.
And you need that. You need those people, and you need the resources.
Yes.
And she follows the Profit First books, like, guidelines.
I'm going to look her up right now, actually.
And I feel like something to be really mindful of when you're selecting your bookkeeper or your tax people is making sure everybody's on the same page of the philosophy you're following, because if one person doesn't get it, it's just messy and complicated.
I think she's, like, Solo Beauty Pros or something.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I follow her Facebook. I'll just have you link it.
Okay.
when we post this.
We'll link all the info.
Yes, she's the spreadsheet's been amazing. I have reached out to her before, and I've reached out to your bookkeeper before. Your bookkeeper doesn't do taxes. Which if she totally did, I would use her. But that's, like,
I feel like everybody who does end of year taxes is a little nutty and, like, hard to talk to. Yes. But I would be nutty and hard to talk to if I had to look at end of year tax stuff all day.
You're a very special type of person to deal with those, like, numbers all day, I feel like.
And it couldn't be me. No. Hire it out.
Yes.
Biggest recommendation.
As a business owner, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off 24/7. You're the social media manager, you're the provider, you're the owner, CEO, you're the bookkeeper.
You're ordering person.
Yes. It's Hot Mess Express 24/7.
It is. Worth it, but
worth it
overwhelming
when you're
ready and busy
for it. Yes. You're gonna have weeks where you're like, oh,
why did I do this again?
I need 3 jobs. And then, like, the next week you're gonna be like, oh,
never mind, I'm busy again.
I'm perfectly fine. I just made $1 million in tips.
Yeah,
you know,
it's fine.
Everything's fine. Everything's good.
I think something that I would recommend to anybody in the industry is some form of continuing education. I like to do, like, one big-ish training a year. I feel like that's typically my my vibe and routine.
Yeah.
And there's other, like, smaller things I feel like that come up throughout the year. Like, PCA does their treatment Tuesdays, which are kind of fun.
Right. Webinars are great.
Webinars are great. Sometimes there's other, like, smaller stuff that comes up, which is awesome. But I feel like navigating what to spend money on and also what trainings to pick can be a little bit tricky.
It's so hard. Yeah.
I feel like, though, there are some green flags and some red flags when choosing some continuing education. And I feel like I've done both. I feel like I've definitely done some where I'm like, I shouldn't have spent my money on this.
Yeah.
And I regret it.
Because they can be super expensive and not meet your expectations.
Mm-hmm. So I think before signing up and spending your money, maybe ask the following questions or double check, like, if there's continuing support after your training. Like, are you able to hit them up and ask your questions?
Or are they like, nope, I'm going to cut you loose and never talk to me again?
Is there hands-on training? Like, say you're doing dermaplaning or microneedling or peels or any sort of service. Like, if you've never done that before, are they gonna demo it? Are they gonna show you how to do it?
Are you gonna walk away with any, like, hard materials to take with you that you can refer back to? Or is it all just they're gonna verbally tell you everything and then...
Yeah, are there protocols? Even, like, pre- and post-op care notes for bigger services. Like, sometimes you just need to hear people do their spiel a couple times of people who do this all the time and go, okay, this is the spiel. I need to, like, I can put it in my own words, but I at least know what to verbalize to the client. And some places are like, you're going to watch me demo a service, and thanks for your money.
See you later.
Yeah. Bye.
Something that you honestly could have just YouTubed. Hot take. My first continuing education was with you. I took your microneedling and your dermaplaning. I think we did it in the same day.
I think we did.
Yeah. Which you left me with little handbooks for, like, post-care protocols, all those things.
And then where to purchase the product, too, when you run out.
You sent me links of, like, the tips I needed to use, the blades, everything. And in the cost of your... training, I think, was included with my instruments. Yeah,
everything was included in your
Which is cost. A great concept, because sometimes I think you can sign up for something, and they're like, oh, for the class, you're going to need XYZ, and then it's an added cost that you didn't expect. That can be hundreds.
Or they give you stuff to use during the training, but they're like, if you
have
want
to,
keep it, if you want to keep it, you have to pay, like, $600 or something crazy. Yeah.
And now I literally never leave her alone.
I think that's something to consider.
I took your training and I'm like, sorry.
Now you're on my couch.
I never left.
Which is fine.
I've been here the whole time. You moved. I just was in your boxes.
You followed me. You followed me here.
Exactly.
I feel like, though, that's something to consider, too, if you are going to be mentoring or teaching or doing education, is, like, there is no real cutoff.
Right.
Even with your coworkers, like... You could be on the opposite end of either side. Like, it's hard to create boundaries in that distance. Sometimes it's fine and it's not a big deal, but, like, imagine you're on vacation or it's 11 p.m. at night and you have, like, not just one person. Like, we're friends, so it's not a big deal, but imagine there's, like, 15 people in your inbox who you don't even know that well, and they're asking questions of stuff that's in the materials you gave them. Like, where can I buy this again? Like, every month, where can I buy this again?
Like, I've sent you the link 8 times.
Literally, like, scroll up in the chat.
Yeah.
Or, how do I do this thing? Like, always happy to help. The inbox is always open, but also, like, that line of communication never really is cut.
Yeah.
So I think that's something kind of pro-con about it.
I feel like, on the topic of boundaries, that's another important thing to think about with your employers, too. Because I've worked at places where my boss has had no boundaries with her staff.
Do you want to give an example? You don't need to name names or anything.
I'm, like, trying to think of one that's, like, maybe PG. I mean, that alone should tell you. I don't know, just, like, the whole, like, oh, we're a family here, we take care of each other, like, I remember, like, my first day I started, she was, like, telling me that she loved me, and all of these, and I'm just, like, and whenever, like, I would leave for work, she'd be like, bye, I love you, and she'd always joke, like, Katie never says I love you back, and I'm like,
because that's kind of weird.
That's kind of fucking weird. Like, you're my boss? I don't know, but just, like, boundaries also, like, about personal life, like, just in general. Like, I have heard a lot about my old bosses, like, family life and marriage and, like, in a little bit too much detail, and, like, there was also no middleman between me and my old boss. So if I had issues, we had this, I forget what her title technically was, but she was kind of like a person who would just, like, help out the odds and ends of the salon.
Okay.
And she was also becoming a therapist, so she's in school for that. So my boss's idea was that if you have problems, go to this person, and then that person can go to me.
Right.
And so that was kind of what I was told at the beginning. Well, lo and behold, me and most of the staff there ended up having issues with her and would just rant to this person. And then that got back to my boss after I had quit, and then she'd gotten really upset at that person, and then she quit.
Wow.
But so there was just, like, no in between.
Yeah.
So, like, that's another question to ask when you're interviewing is, like, what's the management like? Like, what's the hierarchy of things? How are things ordered so that, like, problems can be solved efficiently?
Especially in smaller teams, too. Like, it's one thing with a bigger company, like, you usually have an
clinic.
HR or something, but with smaller things, too, and that's usually where you have, like, the we're a family vibe. But, like, who do you go to when things go wrong or you have an issue you need to dispute? Especially with somebody, like, say you have an issue with your lead esthetician, for example. Like, who's the person that's going to talk to them to get it resolved?
Like, if they're your supervisor.
Yeah. Who's going to tackle that?
Right.
Because I worked at one place. This lead esthetician, she's so sweet. I'm not going to name her name. But, like, everybody's tools would, like, go missing. And we'd find them in her room. Or I shared a room with her, and the room would be, like, messy. Like, say there's wax on the bed, or things are not restocked, or product is missing when it was there the day before. Like, when somebody has that tenure and the hierarchy, like, the manager isn't necessarily going to, like, say, hey, where is this? They're just going to let it slide again and again and again. Because it's not immediately affecting them.
Right.
And that's kind of a sticky situation to be in.
Yeah, just, like, knowing who to go to when you have issues, like, before you're hired is, like, super helpful. That is not something that I had at the last place that I worked. Or I thought that that's what the order was. That, like, oh, if I have issues, which there ended up being multiple, that I would just rant about to this person.
Yeah.
Then
the staffed therapist.
Kind of.
It kind of feels like...
But she would also do stuff, like, with her Cricut for, like, little crafts for this. Like, she was just a very multi-purpose employee.
You know, like, on reality TV, and they have, like, their little confession room? It feels like this lady was your confession room at the salon.
Absolutely. So I became good friends with two of the girls. One of them was... front desk before she moved.
Yeah.
And then the other girl was this, like company therapist / like, I'll make your cute little menus person. Like, she was just our...
You need a brochure?
She was our Martha Stewart. Let's just call her that.
I love that.
But no, we're all still really tight, which is none of us work for that place anymore. And that place doesn't even, like, exist anymore, to my knowledge. That business went under, from my understanding. But questions like that when you're interviewing are so important. And, like, if they're like, we're a family, run. Please. Sprint out the door. Because that's not true. It's probably quite the opposite.
I feel like the interview process is such a hot mess. Now that I've interviewed recently, it's been a long time since I've been on the job market. Before I accepted my position at Refine, I had interviewed at another company, and the interview process was such a hot mess. I was texting Katie from the lobby because the interview was scheduled for like 9.
They were so late.
And it was my day off, so I'd woken up so early to get ready. Not very mindful, not demure.
No. Not respectful.
No. I showed up on time. I showed up early. No chi-chis out. Like, in the lobby.
No green cut crease.
No green cut crease. Natural. Had a little slick back. Clean skin. Very esthetician. Have my little
Don't look
notebook.
at my makeup. I'm just kidding.
It was so cute. I'm waiting. Check in. And I'm, like, observing the lobby. The lobby is kind of hot mess. We're, like, so overfilled. Nobody's getting taken back. They take everybody back one by one. They pull me back 30 minutes past our scheduled time. And I'm texting Katie. I'm like, we're 15 past my initial grace period. Should I leave?
I told you. I was like, I would walk out.
I should have left because
like,
the interview was really bad. It was as if they didn't know anything about me.
Well,
really
like
strange.
the manager didn't even interview
It
you,
wasn't.
right?
It wasn't the person I'd initially talked to,
which is weird.
which was really weird. She didn't say what her job title was. Also weird. Red flag. The major red flag is she knew nothing about the schedule, the compensation, the training, the
basic questions.
And at the end of the day, they also didn't have retail.
This was a medical spa.
This was a medical spa.
They're doing like ablative things.
And have no retail
for post-care.
And I was like, so you're telling me you don't know what the schedule is, what the pay is, you don't do retail, you don't know what? And then at the end, she's like, well, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.
I have a million of them.
And I'm like, cool. Do you have a business card or something I can follow up with? Like an email, a phone number? Mm-hmm. She goes, we don't really do that. You can follow up through Indeed. I know it's a third party, but that's just the way we do things here. What?
Nope. Gotta go.
No. I never heard back from them either. I like laughed at her. I was just like, what? But
blast.
Yeah, no. Insane. I had that Refine interview like several hours later, and it was like night and day difference. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Yeah, I remember you calling me after the second one. You're like, oh, this guy is great.
Uh-huh.
You were so happy and bubbly, and I was like, perfect.
Full send.
Go for it, dude. Yeah. No.
And now you get to come in and be my model for Diamond Glow.
I'm so excited. I'm holding off. I've been wanting to attack my nose.
Please leave it.
I know.
I'm gonna. It's gonna be great.
I'm like, I want it. Does it have like the gunky jar that the hydration?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay, I'm excited. I won't exfoliate
Except instead of with Hydrofacial, you know, you have the boosters that go into the handpiece. Mm-hmm. The handpiece is a little bit different.
It's like a Y, right? Like it looks like a wishbone almost.
And they have their serums at the bottom, so like instead of the cleanse feature or whatever to like clean the machine on Hydrofacial, you literally have your serum selection going through the whole time, from what I remember.
Interesting. Like Hydrofacial has like when you go to like the next step, you like toggle the switch.
Yeah.
And then like you change your tip.
This one, it's the same tip the whole time.
That's kind of...
It's kind of nice.
Okay. I was like, how do you feel about that?
We like this. Okay. They have two different options. They have like a diamond tip, from what I remember, and then they have the one where it's kind of like a derma sweep situation where it's like a little brush. Oh. So like for sensitive skin that can't do the harsher
Hydrofacial doesn't have that option.
I know.
They're like, good luck, Charlie.
Sorry if you're sensitive. We're not for you.
No.
Adjust the suction, but that's your option.
You're still getting harsh exfoliation.
Rosy.
I mean, we love Hydrofacial.
Glowing. We're gonna find out.
I did it at my last clinic. It's not for everybody. See, the people that love it, love it.
That's what I've heard. I've never played with Hydrofacial before. I did the Diamond Glow training years ago at Pro Club, and it was called something else. They like recently had changed the name. Skin Medica had like just taken over the machine, and they changed the name.
Yeah.
We did the training, and that was that. And then COVID happened, and yeah, never touched a Diamond Glow again.
Yeah, Hydrofacials, it's...
We'll find out. Yeah. I'm excited about the lymph drainage feature.
That is cool.
It's literally facial cupping with no bruising.
Yes. I am traumatized from being trained on that, however.
I'm traumatized from my facial cupping incident I did to myself. So I think this will be like a great redemption.
Bruised. She was so insanely bruised.
Don't facial cup yourself while watching Bridgerton, not looking in the mirror.
Getting distracted by the scenes.
So bad. So bad.
No, but I remember the day I was trained on the lymph stuff for hydrofacial. I just remember my rep being like, because it's like a glass or plastic end or whatever, and it's a very light suction that you set it on, and then you start at the chin, and then there's like a little
like a hole.
There's a hole that you have to like pulse
to like bring the suction.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I just remember her going, and you go tap tap tap, glide, tap tap, glide, and I don't remember how long the training was, but at the end of it, I was like, if I hear the word tap one more time, I'm going to go walk off a bridge. And my mom was my model for it. So then at home, my mom would just start going, tap, 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 tap. And I was like, I was losing my marbles. I don't know how your rep is going to train you on it.
We have a new rep, I think. I'm excited.
It's not the same one that I had at my
No,
clinic.
this one's a usual rep. Her name is Erica.
Okay, I had Nicole.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we have Skin Pen coming up. My mom's going to be my Skin Pen model.
Skin Pen is fun.
I'm excited.
I also had that one at my old
One thing I
too.
wasn't expecting is for changing the depth, it clicks. It makes like a click click sound versus any of the other pens. It just like
it's
glides.
Also louder.
It is
than other pens I've used. It's probably the loudest pen I've used. Period. Actually.
Compared to Croson,
like it kind of sounds like a tattoo gun. I feel like it's like scarier. For the client.
But it's like a teeny tiny cartridge.
And I love that it comes with the numbing and it comes with
I like their wrap too. It's like you just
Yep. And then you can like send them home with the little like post-care kit.
Yeah.
I love that whole setup.
Mm-hmm.
I never maybe this is my fault.
Uh-oh.
I feel like I never got the numbing to be great. Like the BLT numbing that they use. I never understood.
They use a different one at my place.
Well, yeah, if you're you might.
This one's like in an ointment, like a prescribed ointment.
Yeah, numbing. So you got like the good stuff.
Yeah.
Because Dr. McIntosh can probably get you like the
legit numbing
stuff.
It's like it looks like Vaseline, like style numbing.
But my old place, I didn't use the numbing that our injector used. Mm-hmm. I was just supposed to use the numbing that came with the device.
Okay, yeah.
And I was never like kind of really, I mean, I had my microneedling certification through you, but like she never had the Skin Pen rep come in and like train me.
Weird.
That's another hot
So
take.
I'm basically a Skin Pen trainer, is what you're saying.
If they have you like using these devices and they don't have a rep come in and train you,
huge red flag.
Leave.
Huge red flag.
Leave. Luckily, like, I was educated on how to microneedle, so, like, I knew every pen, it's kind of standard.
To be honest, this might give you peace of mind. It gave me peace of mind. I was watching our lead do a Skin Pen treatment yesterday, and I was like, that's how I taught microneedling. I'm just like, sweet. I'm gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be fine.
No, it's like, I feel like microneedling is pretty like, standard across the board, but I was just, for something like Skin Pen,
you would think they would have had somebody come out.
Yeah, so I don't know if they came out and, like, gave my boss the spiel before I was brought on.
Mm-hmm. And then just skipped it, and they're
like, well, she's certified in it anyways. So like, she just knows how to do it. But I was never told how to use the numbing cream.
Weird.
And, like, I couldn't, like, kind of find it anywhere in the protocols, but it's, like, 3 different pouches of things. And, like, I never knew if you were supposed to mix them or layer them.
Or something.
But I was microneedling one of my coworkers, and he kept going, like, ow, ow, ow. And I'm like, this is what I was told to use.
You know, this is a little, like, this isn't a Skin Pen specific thing. But you know how we've played with different numbing creams, like, in our own treatment rooms? I have some of that Ebenel. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes, that's my favorite one.
So I haven't purchased it in a while. Yeah. I usually get the Uber Numb stuff because it's in a bigger tub.
I think Ebenel works butter hot
See,
take.
I got some. I opened it the other day. My client was like, "I'm so numb." Even after the treatment,
Yes,
she was
insane.
She was like, "How
did
long
you put
does it
the
take?"
LED on?
I did, and I did a thick
nuts.
layer. I did a thick layer
Yes, it's
LED,
nuts.
and she was like, "I'm still so numb. Like, how long
Yes.
till it wears off?" And I'm like, thinking we did the same thing last time, and I'm like, it must be this formula.
Avenel is the best
way better.
over-the-counter numbing for like anything.
It takes the cake over Zenza, over Uber Numb.
I feel like Zenza.
Zenza is not that
It's
great.
overhyped.
It is, and it's expensive for that
for
little.
a skinny tube.
Yeah.
And you can get like 2 packs of the Avenel stuff on Amazon. It's like
The Avenel is nice.
it's super nice. I remember I did. I microdid my mom. I did half Zenza, half Avenel.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have my Saluma at the time, but I think I had my little handheld LEDs.
Yeah.
So I still like. They're called My Skin Buddy.
Yeah.
Big fan of those. Just.
Before their mishap.
Before you accidentally run them underwater. And then they explode. Anyways.
In their prime,
They are great. Big fan. But no, I would do like the My Skin Buddy over it.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, the Avenel side, it lasted longer.
Mm-hmm.
It was quicker. I feel like it's harder to remove. Like, I feel like the skin just like
It's like more
really,
pasty, like
yeah.
almost diaper cream-esque.
Yeah, like I definitely have to like cleanse the skin after it's off and
Mhm.
like give a good
Yeah.
twice over with the sponge,
Mhm.
but it's the best numbing cream.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got on this topic, but I'm a big fan of it.
Numbing cream. Anywho, let me refer to my notes. Let's see if there's anything else that we would like to cover. Let's see. I'm curious if you have an idea in your head of the estheticians that you were in school with who are still in the field, because
Ooh.
I feel like by the time I was even working like my first job,
Yeah.
I think there's maybe like 2 of us.
My apologies. Roy Washington has been calling me for 4 days. I have no idea. Should I take this?
Yeah, take it.
Live call. Hello?
Unimportant.
When you're a business owner, you get so many spam calls of people claiming to work for Google who want to put you on the homepage, but then it's a scam because they want you to pay like $500 a month or something crazy like that. And
I'm
it's
sorry.
not even Google.
If you're not my mom or Katie or a client
Or Nathan.
don't
I'm not
call
picking
me.
up. I'm not picking up. As a matter of fact, let's block them together.
We don't have time for this.
Sorry. They're blocked.
So, back to my question.
Yes.
I feel like there was literally me and maybe one other gal that I went to beauty school with who are still working in the field today. Me and one other person I
I'll
went to
one
beauty
up
school
you.
with.
I don't know that half the girls I went to school with are even licensed. Yeah.
Do you think it was a COVID thing? Or do you think it was like past the time
Maybe.
maybe I'll be an esthetician?
I think that, maybe I should rephrase. I think majority of them are
Licensed.
licensed.
But not practicing.
Not practicing, but I do know a couple girls I graduated with who didn't even take state board.
I feel like some people go to school just because they think it would be fun, and then they...
Which is a silly $20,000
It's-
fun thing.
Yeah.
I feel like a majority of the girls that I ended school with are lash techs now,
Okay.
from what I see on the gram. A couple of them aren't working, aren't licensed. A handful, I think, moved states even.
Mm-hmm.
Like my one friend Sierra started working at I think she's at a body sculpting clinic in Hawaii now,
that's cool.
which is kind of fun. I know some lash techs. I remember, I don't want to name drop, but I think you're gonna know who I'm talking about. She like accidentally crashed her boyfriend's car in the parking lot.
Yep.
Would never
Yep, I know
actually
exactly who
clock
you're
out.
talking
She's just a very ditzy person. I don't think that she's licensed. I don't know if she ever took state
I thought
board.
she did like a career change.
She did. Well, I think she was doing that career thing while she was in school. If we're thinking about
Yeah.
the same thing.
I think we are.
But I don't
Way to
think
be demure.
Can't give too many details away. Wait, she might follow me. We might have to cut that out. I think she does follow me. I can block her too. Anyways,
Oh my
but
God.
yeah, I don't think that most of the girls I went to school with like
aren't working in the field.
aren't in the field.
I think it's really common for aesthetics to be like a second, third, fourth career choice for a lot of people.
Or a temporary
career
like,
choice where it's like people will think that this could be a fun thing and then they realize it's actually kind of hard.
Like back to expectation, right?
Yeah.
Like I think that people go into this industry thinking it's gonna be a fun,
Easy.
instant money grab, gonna be making like 6 figures
And
out
low
the gate.
maintenance. I think people think it's going to be really low maintenance, and it is really a lot of maintenance if you want to be successful at actually making money. Like,
I think it's one of the biggest hustle industries like you could choose to be in.
Which, if you have that hustle gene, like, perfect. You're in the right spot. But
I didn't at first, so it was a bit of a
learning curve,
mental shift I had to have there.
Yeah.
Especially opening your own business. It's one thing when you're like working for someone else, but like when you have your own business child, it's like, gotta hit the gas a little bit.
Well, and it's different, I feel like, now than when I was even in beauty school, and even maybe when you were in beauty school too, of like, now you need to be online and you need to be like on your branding and you need to be active. And so much of your brand comes back to you, and it's just not as like, well, I can pass out some business cards. Like, no, you need to be like active and present, and it's a big aspect.
My biggest thing is just never shut up about what you do. Like any conversation with a new person, any like interaction with someone you've never met before, like I feel like that's what brings in the most business. And social media, obviously.
But it's not overnight. It's not like you post a TikTok or you post an Instagram and you're getting a client off of every post. That is so not the case. It could be like months and months and months of you posting consistently and you get maybe one person.
Yeah.
But that one person might refer you 3 or 5 other people or become a regular person.
So this is a good little example. My hairdresser works around the corner from me. And she has obviously come in to see me, but she's referred her daughter-in-law to me, and then her daughter-in-law referred 2 of her friends who are twin sisters. I love you, Emily and Julia. To me. So, like, that one person brought me a referral who then brought me 2 referrals. So, like, it's just, like, that word of mouth is, like, a superpower.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but it's a hustle for sure.
Do you have any final notes for anybody starting beauty school? Maybe let's do one. One for if you're starting beauty school, and one for if you've recently graduated and you're entering the field. And then maybe one for if you're starting your own business.
If you're entering beauty school,
manage your expectations.
I was just going to say lower your expectations. They're going to promise you this great curriculum, and it's probably not going to be stuck to.
Maybe also don't trust your tour guide. I feel like the tour guides overpromise, and
it's their job to overpromise.
But like, man, the schools underdeliver.
Yeah, underpromise. Well, that might be a piece of advice for like if you're starting your own business is underpromise and overdeliver, especially if you're in the skincare industry.
Yeah.
If you're not like lash or brow focused, if you are a skincare girly, it's much harder to manage high expectations than to underpromise a little bit and then like blow them away with their results later. So that's that piece of advice. But for school, lower your expectations. For right post school, be picky about where you want to work, because I worked at places that have really damaged my mental health. And just like be diligent with your questions with them before you sign any type of contract.
Yeah. And be patient. I feel like job listings come and go, and the right thing just might not be available yet.
Yeah.
And maybe don't be worried about hitting someone up that maybe doesn't have a listing. If you like their business or you've been a client.
It's a place you already go that you know you enjoy their technicians and their front desk staff that you like experience.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of places have high turnover. And
there will be an opening at one point or another.
In 6 months to a year.
Also, maybe ask, too, what the turnover rate is.
That is a great question.
Because I've asked that almost every place I go, and if they have high turnover, that's a potential red flag, because it might not be...
That is a red flag,
it might not be the esthetician, it might be the company.
Yeah. The last place that I worked before I opened my own spot, I think... all but one other hairdresser. I think we had 2 or 3 front desk girls by that point. Another hot take, my old boss hired her clients as her staff. I was not her client when I began, but that's
a little weird.
They're now, to my understanding, not her clients anymore either. But I think, and it was a small clinic too, most of us had left or moved on at the point that I left, or either right after I left.
Mm-hmm.
So, turnover is a great question.
Sidebar. What would you feel like is appropriate for client friendship interactions to set a boundary off the bat?
This is a great question for us because we had no boundaries.
Yeah.
Because you were my teacher,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was your client,
Mm-hmm.
and then I think I just never... stop talking to you.
I also didn't have friends, so I'm like, this is great. I have an esthetician friend. She's not crazy. This is great.
No, she lives in my house.
Yeah,
I do not live in her house, but
we live in close enough proximity.
She moved closer to me on purpose. That's all I'll say.
I Google mapped it before I signed the lease.
Yeah, I have clients who, and this is special case.
Mm-hmm.
I have clients who have been referred to me by a friend. And then that's turned into a friendship.
Okay.
And I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have my other esthetician friend, Kelsey.
Yes.
Her and I share a friend, Annalise. And then one of her old coworkers is one of her friends, is also my client now. And, we've all gone to a Mariners game together.
Mm-hmm.
I see no issue in that.
Right.
But I think that there is, it's just boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely
some things.
For sure.
Well, and I'll say, too, your clients will become your friends way quicker than your friends will become your clients.
Absolutely. That is so true.
So don't expect your friends to be banging down your door and wanting to see you off the bat.
No, because another thing, don't do crap for free.
No.
Because your friends and family are going to hear you're going to beauty school, or that you're opening your own business, or you're going to work at a med spa. They think they're going to get free injections, free microneedling. That is your livelihood, and you need to protect that.
I would say, too, being picky about who you bring on for your model treatments.
Yes.
Because some of those things, I would not bring on somebody who I want them to buy a series of this treatment as the model, for instance. I might bring my mom in for a treatment, or I'm going to bring you in for a treatment as a model, because I know, you'd see me for a treatment regardless, and it's not a big deal. But for some people who are I'm just going to come in for the free model treatment and maybe not return for something else, be kind of picky about that.
My thing with models is I would also not bring in anybody who's never had an aesthetic treatment done before. You want somebody who's experienced something similar to be able to give you feedback and maybe compare and contrast things. But if you bring somebody in who's never had a facial before and they're a facial model for you, of course they're going to be oh, that was the best thing that's ever happened. Well, they've never had a facial before, so they don't have anything to compare it to. So that's another little thing.
Yeah. What about somebody entering the solo esthetician club?
I think you and I did it a little, well, we did it oppositely.
Mm-hmm.
I think you had a stronger client base.
Mine was weird. Mine was really weird. It was right before COVID. I think I was still working it was right before I started working at Pro Club. I had a little space in my house set up because I just started doing the permanent makeup.
Right.
And I wanted to take some models. I think I was at InSpa.
Yeah.
And then was taking some models at the house just to gain some more practice. Started at Pro Club. They were they were whatever about it. And then those models that I was taking, I converted them into clients. So they were wanting dermaplaning or microneedling or brow wax and tint, whatever. So I slowly started accumulating some product and doing some services. COVID happened. When COVID reopened, I was still taking some clients from the house when it was like safe to do so.
Right.
And then I started getting clients who were new to me, not referrals, like brand new from my area. And I was like, this was cute. It still felt like separate, like I had the house set up in a way.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't want people coming to my house anymore. Let me find an actual setup. And I guess I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And then it just built and grew from there, just based on demand.
And you were building while teaching as well.
Yeah, I had my business up and running. There was a point in time where I was working at another spa, working at my spa, and teaching. So when I was at Pro Club, I was doing my educator program. I was working at Pro Club, and then had my spa. And then when I was teaching, I would teach from like, I think it was 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 or something. And then I'd come back to Duval and work for 3 hours. It was like 6 to 8 or 6 to 9 or something.
I remember that.
Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And then I'd work 10 to 8 on the weekends because I'd made no money teaching. So I had to like bust my butt at my spa to pay my bills.
I remember when we were like all packing up at the end. It was
so emotional.
Yeah. I remember being like, does anybody have any fun weekend plans? And you're like, I'm going straight to my spa. And I was like, woohoo, not jealous of you.
No, like I haven't had a day off in ever.
Yeah, we're all like, we're going to the lake, or we're going to go have brunch tomorrow.
That sounds like fun. Can't relate.
And now I invite her to brunch.
Yeah.
I get her out of the house.
Luckily, now I've learned work-life balance, and I have weekends off for the first time in like 6 years now, so.
That's so nice. I'm so happy for you.
It's a game changer. What would your recommendations be or advice for somebody starting? Maybe don't be afraid to like lose sleep and hustle hard for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, just like I wasn't planning on opening my own spot when I quit my last job.
Right.
Full honesty. I quit kind of unexpectedly for some dramatic reasons.
It's kind of iconic.
That's a whole nother podcast episode.
If you want to know the tea of that, comment part 2.
And for 3 months, I quit in March, April, May, I opened my own place in June. So like for a couple months or like a month and a half, I was just like, I was searching for jobs. I was like, I don't want to work for another problematic person. I had a crazy employer before that place too, so I was just like really run down. And to be honest, I was like, aesthetics,
don't know about this.
Might want to peace out.
Yeah.
But I texted my hairdresser and I was like, if you hear of any jobs, let me know. And she was like, well, there's studios becoming available in our building. And I was like,
think about it.
Shit. And then the next week I scheduled a tour with my landlord and I signed a lease. And I remember coming in to see you and you were like, oh, okay.
I'm like, do you have a plan? You're like, no, I just signed my lease. And I'm like, cool, well, if you want to like meet or you want help, like call me.
Yeah.
But like, wow.
So I did it very backwards of you. It was, I thought I was going to be like a med spa girly my entire career.
Yeah.
Playing with lasers and stuff, and I was a little bit damaged. So I was like, might as well open my own place. But my biggest thing is just like, I don't know, don't underestimate yourself, I guess.
Yeah.
If you like feel good about an opportunity, take it.
Yeah.
But also don't expect like everything to be handed to you on a gold. Like you're not gonna just like open your doors and have like
people knocking.
300 clients waiting for you. Like I'm still building and I'm over a year out.
And it ebbs and flows. Like there's some days where I'm like, cool, I'm booked and busy.
Yeah.
And then other days I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Like where did everybody go?
Like this summer's been bizarrely slow. I feel like.
Everything post-COVID has been different. Like my first couple years pre-COVID.
That's a good thing to compare because I didn't work pre-COVID. I like jumped in during COVID.
Right. So it was different. Like you used to be able to predict like over the school breaks, over the school holidays, school dances, like heavily focused on the school schedule and then also the seasonal changes. It was really predictable. Of like, we're going to have a flux. It's going to drop a little bit. It's going to for sure pick back up by this week and this month.
Right.
You, like, had it pretty, like, dialed in.
Yeah.
And even the people who were in the industry before you jumped in, they knew the pattern.
Yeah.
Now it's different.
Yeah.
Very different.
Super.
And I feel like it's still fluctuating.
Yeah.
And something that I haven't experienced as a business owner, that some other business owners have pointed out, is since we're in an election year, things are really different income-wise. Like, with the economy, things are different. And I guess that's a common thing. Like, for people who've been in business a long time, there is commonly that flux of
every
drop.
4 years, it's just like...
Which, I mean, it's good to know that that's a consistent, even though it sucks.
Yeah.
Like, we can at least predict that.
Right. Yeah. I think, like, oddly, my biggest month has been November. Which
Really?
I'm like, is everybody just feeling thankful and wanting to see their esthetician?
Blessed.
Yeah. But, yeah, you just gotta be patient.
Mm-hmm.
That's the other huge thing. It's not all just gonna magically blossom when you unlock your door.
This feels a little bit of, like, a downer to end on.
Open your own studio. It's a great time.
Trust the process. If you need to cry, it's fine.
Yeah. We've cried.
We've cried a lot. I will say, too, as a final note of if you are working for somebody, don't be afraid that you've made the wrong decision in your career if you feel like you don't like what you're doing. It might be the company or the people that you're working with that are causing those feelings.
Absolutely.
And it's really normal and it's really common, and you might just need to change.
Yeah, because I felt that way with my first 2 employers. I was like, if this is how it is, I don't want any
It just
part.
feels like, damn, I fucked up. I worked so hard. I just finished school.
Yes.
And I hate it.
Yeah. And, like, a lot of business owners in this industry also, like, don't know what they're doing or have poor management. And, like, that could just be the problem. Like, that was the problem at the last 2 places that I worked.
Yeah.
And, like, now that, like, I own my own little space, I'm like, I'm so happy. I'm like,
well, and also, everybody's going through something business-wise.
yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people, we just cover it really well online because nobody's online going, I have no clients this week, or I'm having tax issues, or I don't know what I'm doing. Like, nobody's posting that publicly.
No.
We're like, yes, everything's so great, blah, blah, blah. And it's like...
I think it's something that's really funny is when I see estheticians post, like, today's lineup, and it's, like, 10 appointments. That's not every day.
No. I'm like, this is my one busy day this week, and I'm not commenting brow wax. That's the only thing today. Like,
right. Yeah. No. Exactly. It's just know that Instagram is not reality 98% of the time.
Or people are like, I have limited availability this week. Oftentimes it's I have all the availability this week. Please book a fucking appointment.
Or like, it's like,
it's okay.
A spot just opened up next week. And
that spot's
like
been open for
DM
weeks.
to book.
Yeah.
That spot's been open for weeks. And the spots before and after it have been open for weeks.
Yeah.
And half the time when, like, I feel like when I post, like, on my stories, like, oh, like, opening this, like, people don't.
I haven't, no. Some people, they have really good engagement and, like, stuff will book.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing from this one gal that she would, like, fake it for a really long time of doing those posts of, like, I have an opening, and then, like, shortly after booked, like, faking it. And eventually it did stimulate people to, like, get on it. Yeah. But I don't know how effective that is because I haven't experienced that.
I feel like now that we've said that, I can't do it.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. It is what it is.
Instagram, you'll learn you can have, like I had that, like, semi-viral moment when I posted that video with my brother.
Yes.
And then I posted a part 2 to, like, giving my brother a facial, and I got, like, a quarter of the amount of engagement.
Also, though, I feel like followers and views don't equate to appointments. And I feel like that's such a mind fuck, is like you see these people with like thousands and thousands of followers online and you're like, wow, they must be so busy and they never have to worry about like appointments being booked. They go through the same thing that all of us are dealing with. Yeah. Like they still have openings, they still have slots that are hard to fill, they still get no-showed, like nobody's exempt. No. I'm sorry, nobody's exempt.
Instagram is so...
But it is fun.
It's a great tool, but half of what you're seeing is fake.
Yeah. And don't let it, like, ruin your day.
No.
There are other crazy things that'll ruin your day.
I'm like,
Zoop. Zip, zip. Anywho, I feel like this is a general good spot to close us out on. If you have any other questions or topics you would like us to touch on, I'm happy to do a part 2, part 3, part whatever with you. Yeah. We moved the couch all the way around for filming this because we needed the lighting to be better. So we'll move the couch around again if we need to do a
What could be cute too is we could do some type of setup in my studio with my wallpaper in the background. I think that would be adorable.
We can both sit on your bed.
Yes. I can make it all cozy.
Maybe we could push it up against the bed so we can sit back.
Yeah. My bed's on wheels.
Yeah, I love it.
Perfect. Stunning.
Well, thanks so much for watching. Drop your comments and questions below. And if there was one part of this episode that resonated with you and you're like, I also have work trauma, please feel free to share. And if you want more of Katie, feel free to follow her at Groove Aesthetics. She also has a new gorgeous website.
She's so pretty.
If you want more of me, you can follow me at Aesthetics with Jessica. I also have another new gorgeous website. We had a little website building day. We
have very different vibes, I feel.
Different vibes, but that's fine.
Still super cute websites.
Still super cute websites. And we'll see you next time.
Toodles. Later, skitters.